It feels like we live in an all-or-nothing world.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Take The Big Picture, the show from the Ringer podcast that I love to dunk on because the hosts are just so stupid. Last year, I think they said at least 4 times that the movie they were reviewing was probably the best movie of the year.
Oh, look, there's the future Mrs. Wallowitz. No, wait, that's the future Mrs. Wallowitz. With her head in the lap of, what a coincidence, it's the future Mrs. Wallowitz.
Can't movies just be good or okay, instead of either amazing or an abomination against filmmaking? It's time to take a stand. I declare Project Hail Mary to be good. A- from Awards Watch, A- from IndieWire, A from Consequence, 4 out of 4 from The Bulwark, 9 out of 10 from Next Best Picture, 96% critic score, 98% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and yes, I know their system isn't an aggregate of actual scores, but can't we just give good movies a B or a 7 out of 10? If Project Hail Mary is an A, what's an A+ and what's a D? The movie's good. Don't think I'm hating on it, it's absolutely worth seeing, but let's be honest about it in this review. Quick overview of the movie. Ryan Gosling plays Ryland Grace, a disgraced molecular biologist turned middle school science teacher. He wakes up in a spaceship light years away from Earth with 2 dead crewmates. How'd they die? I don't know. But they're dead, so it's just him. Did the people who organized the mission know there was a chance the astronauts wouldn't survive the journey? And if so, why did they only send one of each specialist they needed? I don't know. Turns out a parasitic phenomenon known as astrophage occurring around Venus is feeding on the sun's energy, causing its rays to be weaker and weaker past that point in the solar system, threatening to make Earth too cold to live on. A fact Grace begrudgingly explains to his class of students, despite knowing he probably shouldn't put that in their heads. I got a kick out of this because growing up, all my science teachers told me we were all gonna die because Earth would get too hot.
Well. How the turntables...
Anyway, some secret government organization basically kidnaps Grace so he can help them determine what's going on with the sun.
Shut up about the sun! Shut up about the sun!
Meanwhile, on the ship, as Grace starts to remember what his mission is, another spaceship pulls up to his, and Grace meets his alien friend, whom he names Rocky. Together, Grace and Rocky become best friends and try to determine why the specific star their respective missions brought them to is seemingly unaffected by the astrophage. Project Hail Mary really exposes Ryan Gosling, both in good ways and bad. The movie instantly gets much better when his alien friend shows up. When it's just Gosling chilling in his spaceship alone, that's the weakest part of the movie. Ryan Gosling can't carry a story in isolation, but he's great when he has someone, anyone, even just a rock crab puppet, to bounce off of. His dynamic with Rocky is the best part of the film, and it's in that relationship that the tearjerkers in the movie come from. He also displays a surprising sense of physical comedy. The other best scenes in the movie come when Ryan Gosling has other human actors to pull some deeper meaning, and so the flashbacks of him working on Earth with the other scientists and government officials are the highlights. The problem is Grace's character development really doesn't begin until he remembers, and I'm not sure why he forgot, or at least until we get to see exactly how he ended up on the mission. But because the present story with him and Rocky and the flashbacks are told as 2 congruent stories happening together, nearing their ends at the same time, his character is basically stagnant throughout most of the movie until the last half hour or so. Project Hail Mary is kind of an amalgamation of various other stories. It clearly draws a bit from The Martian, some from Interstellar, a tad from Arrival, a drop of E.T., and even a hint of Adam Sandler's Spaceman, although that movie came out after the Project Hail Mary book was written. The problem with Project Hail Mary drawing from all of these, especially the first 3, is it kind of ends up being a mile wide and an inch deep. It has elements of The Martian, including the hilarious notion that the United States and China would work together on anything. The Martian was all about a man trying to survive in space and figure out a way home. It's got a lot of hard science. It's not science fiction so much as it's scientific fiction. Coming from an engineer, there's not a whole lot of legit science in Project Hail Mary. It's more of a true sci-fi flick. They just gloss over how simultaneously Xenon can be a solid and Rocky's livable atmosphere is super hot, 2 mutually exclusive scientific phenomena. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'll say, if you're expecting a movie similar to The Martian in that regard, you're going to be disappointed. I had to modify my expectations pretty quickly in the theaters. Obviously, I didn't read the book because I can't read, but the whole idea of surviving in space and trying to find a way home is in Project Hail Mary, but it's really just going on in the background. It's got some Interstellar in it, although this movie is better than Interstellar, that overrated, beautiful disaster. A common man with deep scientific knowledge is summoned to undertake a mission to save humanity from a dying planet, and he spends most of his time in his spacecraft. It's got some crazy ship piloting scenes a la Interstellar, and it really tries to match it with some gorgeous cinematography. And some of the shots are really good, just not as good as those in Interstellar. Arrival is all about humans trying to establish a common language with aliens so that they can communicate with them. There's a little bit of that in Project Hail Mary with Grace and Rocky, but it basically amounts to Grace establishing a few numbers with him, and then jumps almost immediately to them having thousands of words translated from whatever Rocky's language is to English. We don't see the actual full solution get worked out, and that's a common theme in this movie. It doesn't really solve the problems. It begins the solutions, then just jumps to or implies that it was all tied up in a neat little bow. This might be a small spoiler, so I'll give people a couple seconds to bow out here. Okay, the movie does really want to tie everything up as neatly as possible. It sometimes creates really interesting dilemmas where Grace and or Rocky are going to have to make a difficult choice, but then a third option appears out of nowhere and erases the consequences you thought the characters were going to have to deal with. I'm talking about all the negatives, but I did say the movie is good, and it is. Those movies it's drawing from are good movies to draw from. It could have drawn from one battle after another. Yikes. But it's using all of those movies to tell what is in its realest form a human story, and using a rock alien to tell it, no less. It's the performances and the environments that are created that make it an enjoyable watch. The interpersonal dynamics between characters are very real, especially between Grace and Rocky, and it always feels weird and awesome to have a rock alien pull at your heartstrings. Rocky isn't CGI, he's actually a puppet, which makes his presence in scenes all the more physical and real. It balances shifting tones very well, from lighthearted and humorous, with Grace being a fish out of water with the great minds of the scientific world and bumping around with his energetic rock alien friend, to really emotional when he considers the sacrifices he has to make. The cinematography is good, just not as good as Interstellar's that it's competing with. It's a fun 2 hours and 45 minutes. The pace isn't sluggish for almost all of the movie. There are a couple of action scenes, if you can call them that, to get your heart rate up a bit and give the film a jolt of excitement just when it seems like it's starting to drag. The direction is really pretty good. It just isn't going to stick with me. The human story part of it is good, but the true character development comes too late for the film to hang its hat on that. It didn't go deep enough into anything it brought up to leave an impact, and at the end of the day, it was a good way to spend $15 in 2.5 hours. And that's okay. It's good. Good is good. Let's just leave it at that.